Okay, welcome everybody to the Planning and Infrastructure Development Committee meeting. Good afternoon, Director Adams. We hear you loud and clear.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Hello. Okay, really, I'm just going to jump into this agenda item and go from there. CEO, take it away.
Very good. I'd like to take a moment before we get started. Mary Moskowitz is, I believe, on the line with us. I know she had to be remote this afternoon. Mary, can you, there you are.
Yeah, good. Can you guys hear me?
I can see you now. So Mary is our new Chief of Planning and Infrastructure Development. We are delighted. She's been on board now about a week, a little over a week, and has hit the ground running. So Mary, congratulations on joining the CAT team, and thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
Hi, Mary. Pleasure meeting you.
Hi, thanks.
In addition to Mary onboarding, her son is onboarding into the school system and such, and they had a school meeting this afternoon, so that's why she's joining us remotely, but you'll get to meet her in person at the upcoming board meetings.
And moving forwards, Mary's taking over.
She's taking over the report. You're
Very
done
cool.
with me.
I'm saddened to hear that. I really am. But Mary, I'm looking forward to it. Really looking forward to meeting you. Planning is one of the, I can't say one of my hobbies. It's not like a hobby that I've got, but definitely something I think really a keen interest of mine on this board. So looking forward to working with you.
All right. I'll walk through the agenda items, sir. The first agenda item, and this is exciting news, is the intergovernmental agreement for the Route 3B service expansion into Port Wentworth. Port Wentworth will be joining us at that board meeting to express their appreciation for joining the CAT family and to give us all a chance to be in the same room together, celebrating this moment. So very exciting. The next item is the intergovernmental agreement for the DOT shuttle circulator service expansion with the city of Savannah. You may recall that recently at one of the recent city council meetings, they voted to approve the both continuing and expanding a bit on the DOT shuttle service. I think the total value, and it's in your packet of that contract, is I believe it's just a little over 7.2 million over 3 years. So we are excited again to continue that service and to expand a bit, especially for those fare-free services that now operate outside of the downtown area. And then the last item that will be an agenda item for this committee is the zero emission bus rollout plan. This is something that we presented to you in work session in a previous meeting, gave time for the board to review it thoroughly and carefully and offer any comments or edits. And now we'll be bringing that forward. With the completion and approval of that zero emission bus plan, CAT will now have a master transit plan, comprehensive operational analysis, transit development plan, COA TDP, and the ZEB plan in place. All the major planning tools that we need to continue, along with our excellent budget, to be able to guide CAT's future forward. So I'm very proud of the work that this board has done, very proud of the work that the staff and that our those consultants who have supported us through these various journeys and are kind of bringing it all together here now. So we're excited to see your consideration of that plan. And with that, I will move into my report.
Quick question, the DOT service expansion and continuation, that's already been approved and signed on the city's behalf?
It has, and Port Wentworth has on Port Wentworth's behalf as well.
So once we do our diligence on approving these as the board, at the next board meeting then, they're solid and
they are.
All that's left is execution.
And the Port Wentworth service is proposed upon board approval to start in March. And then the other is just a continuation of existing services with some expansion to those services as well.
Thank you.
Very good. All right. Next slide. So we've got a fairly brief report today because we're actually, planning has been busy for the last year. And now we're reaching a place where we really are transitioning to our new leadership team with Mary leading that charge. And again, the ZEB plan adoption, which we just discussed, we are working on, you may recall that we were awarded, and I think both of these were through Senator Warnock, an earmark for a paratransit maintenance facility and an earmark for the third ferry. Both of those earmarks are what was called THUD earmarks. And we are working with our federal partners to understand the administration of those programs. It was a little bit newer earmark program, and there's still some process and policy and those kinds of things being worked out at the federal level. So we will keep you abreast of those developments, but know that we are working on those. The other thing that I'll mention related to that in the earmark space is that we were notified a couple of weeks ago, and that was in one of your snapshot reports recently, that there are earmarks from 2003, 2006, and 2009 that total about $1.8 million that are still available. They're only for the ferries or for ferry-related infrastructure. But they're just old earmarks that were sitting out there. And so we are working now with GDOT and Federal Highway Administration, because those happen to come through that avenue. We're working with them to reallocate those, and that is going to become the way, we hope, to fill the delta, the remaining funding delta that exists on the third ferry. Because you remember on the third ferry, we got funding last year through the legislative, through the Georgia Transit Trust Fund during the legislative session. That line item that we got from GDOT was for the third ferry, plus that THUD earmark, plus those old earmarks will now be the full funding package that we need to move that forward. And then we can have our fleet in really good shape for a while. So that's all exciting.
So, so there are earmarks from 20 years ago that,
That is correct.
well, that's, I'm just going to take that as good
The
news.
oldest one only has about $14 and some change in it, but the other two obviously are much more substantive. But yeah, 2003, 2006, 2009.
Interesting. And what does THUD mean?
THUD, it's Transportation Housing Urban Development.
Okay.
So it actually, it was a transportation earmark, but the funding was being housed, if you will, in the HUD budget within the federal government. Again, it was something a little new and different. So, and then the last item is this coming Thursday and Friday. You will see a lot of activity going on around the SMART grant kickoff with our external advisory board in town. These are folks from different places in the country, different national organizations, as well as state organizations, regional entities, and our stakeholder committee, which is more of our local stakeholders and our local agencies and communities that'll be involved in how the micro transit system kicks off in West Chatham, as well as in East Savannah next March. Those meetings will be, Georgia Tech will be in town, and we'll be working through those meetings on Thursday and Friday. And I want to take a minute to thank Ariel Johnson. She has, as our PIO and our communications lead, she has really led the stakeholder committee side of that. And then Georgia Tech has been responsible for the external advisory board, but she's done an outstanding job of really pulling together a fun agenda that's informative and exciting, and really it's just a part of raising Kat's brand, and I wanted to thank her for the work she's done for that.
So on that, those are two different groups, the external advisory board, and it's not one board.
Right, and
It's
the
two
one's more
boards.
local and the other is more national and state regional in its context.
Who's on? I'd be interested, like, who's on the boards, especially the local board.
I can send you the names of
Okay.
both of those. I wish I could rattle them off the top.
Don't
of my
worry.
head, but we'll send you the list for both of those. I'll actually include it this week in Snapshot so that you all know who's participating in both of those.
And so over the execution of the SMART grant and the micro transit, as that deploys, those two groups will sort of be overseeing and I guess advising and experiencing how those are working.
Absolutely, providing input bringing resources to the table even
Mhm.
potentially and so forth. So
Is that mandated by the grant too, to have groups like these?
no, that was a part of our, well, I think anything like this should obviously have a stakeholder committee, but the bringing together an external advisory board of like some national experts and that kind of thing, that was a unique part that we put together that we think was one of the, more competitive aspects of our grant proposal. I mentioned this earlier today too. I think it was in the service committee meeting that, to my knowledge, this is the only micro transit project in the country proposed as fully electric. It is being done in collaboration with the local HBCU and the local technical college. It has the participation of major research institution like Georgia Tech. It is being done in a manner to support the upskilling and career development of our union operators and our union maintenance personnel. It's the only one in the country that is proposed to operate in all of that kind of fashion, and I think that's why we're getting so much attention. One of the individuals who's going to be here on Thursday and Friday, they just recently named the director of the SMART grant program nationally, and he is coming here and will be with us for 2 days.
Great.
Which bodes well for us when we get to phase 2. Remember, this was the grant program that it was 100% money and it was highly competitive, but those who were selected in phase 1 are going to have an advantage in going into the phase 2. That pool of applicants is only those 59 that were funded. So we're trying to make sure that we're doing all of the right things through this first part of the grant so that early 2024, when the phase 2 comes out, we should be ready to put in a really competitive application for the much larger dollars that will enable us to take microtransit countywide. Next slide. Any questions? If none, I can move into the other agenda items, Chair.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Under old new business, there will be an old business item that will be discussed in executive session. It was a previous executive session topic that related to potential litigation. We will be coming back to you for a further discussion of that. And in that discussion, there may result after that meeting in cause for an additional purchase action item. So there may be an additional agenda item that you would vote on after the executive session, depending on your consideration during that meeting. So wanted you to be aware of that. Under proposed business by other committees, there was no action item under service delivery operational. Finance, as always, is
Very busy.
Very busy. And so we've got, you can see the items that are there, the subrecipient agreement with Georgia Tech for the SMART grant program. Remember, they're our subcontractor in that SMART grant environment. And in order for them to get the funds that they're committed to in there for reimbursement, they had to have a subcontract with us because it all runs through CAT. We're purchasing camera systems. You can see 2 different purchases on there totaling 6 cameras. 4 are for the CAT Connect program, which is the restoring that seniors transportation shuttle service called CAT Connect. And then we're also purchasing at 100% funding 2 microtransit electric vehicles that'll be used in the SMART grant program. And then those other 2 cameras that are on there to outfit those. We're doing a no-cost time extension with Thomas and Hutton. They have remaining contract value, and their services are needed to complete. They are the engineer of record for both the dock and the ferry maintenance facility. And now that the grant work there has been fully recovered, we need them in place to finish up as the engineer of record, and there's still funding within their contract to do that. And then we are also a part of the SMART grant program. You may recall that a meeting or so back, we brought a policy before you on travel with the SMART grant program. We've received some further information from USDOT And in order to make sure that we're compliant, especially with the meetings that are coming up this week, meeting attendance, meeting facility locations, meals associated with it, and so forth, we are doing a reimbursement revision just to make sure that our policy exactly mirrors USDOT's and so forth. And then lastly, and this is one that I'm personally very excited about, we are recommending to you the contract award to Bonfire. Bonfire is the same procurement software that is used by the county. It also works with the Munis system, which we already have, but this is what we committed to you when we had some discussions in several past months meeting around procurement matters, and especially improvements to procurement matters in the process. This will be an automated, efficient, effective system that will help us not only from like how we put contracts out for bid or for proposal, all the way through receiving those and on into the actual award and so forth. It really takes a lot of the human error, if you will, that can occur out of it. So we're very excited about bringing that forward. That's a piggyback contract that we're able to bring that forward to you now. So we identified those issues. We told you we were going to bring remedies, and this was the first one that we suggested we needed. So we're excited to bring that. And then lastly, we'll be discussing or asking for your approval of the 2024 legislative agenda. You may recall we've distributed this to you in previous meetings as well as in Snapshot, and received comments and so forth. Had a meeting this morning with Mike Backer, our state lobbyist, and with Representative Ron Stevens, who chairs the delegation. And to say that we have a high and active level of support from our delegation is a little bit of an understatement. They're very excited about the work CAT is doing. They're very excited about our legislative requests. And so I think we're going to have a good session and good support. So with that, I'll turn it back over to you, Chair.
Director Adams, do you have any questions?
Yes, sir. What's the cost on the Bonfire software?
Hang on just one second, sir. I'll have to look it up. Don't know it off the top of my head. Deb, do you have that? I don't know.
It looks like it's 28,105 for the first year, including implementation costs.
Thank you, sir.
Mhm.
Oh, here it is. Now I got it.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for that question, Director. I'm sorry I didn't have that one right. I'm on the page now, but I wasn't getting to the page quick enough. Thank you, Chair. Any other questions, sir?
Not at this time.
Neither do I. Anybody else got anything else? All right, great. I'd like to adjourn the meeting and thank you everybody for showing up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, staff.